Good afternoon, Art. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Cool. I was extremely impressed with the the short videos that you've made of the authors. Thank you so much for that. That was really
Yeah, if the other authors get me their photos, I could make it a bit longer.
fantastic. Very good. And thanks again. How's your week going?
Not too bad. It's I got a shingles vaccine on Wednesday, and I did feel sick like on Thursday. I was feeling rather ill, but I kind of recovered as of today. I I wasn't feeling so hot yesterday either. So,
Yeah, I had the shingles vaccine actually a couple of times because the first time around, apparently the version my doctor had me take was not very good. So she had me do it again with a
hmm.
different one, but that was a two-phase. So I've actually had three shingles vaccines. And I had shingles when I was in high school, believe it or not.
Well,
Uh, yeah, it turns out that this is something you get in different parts of your body, So just because you had it, I had it in my right bicep, that
uh-huh.
that doesn't mean you won't get it on your, let's say, back or left leg or something. So anyway, yeah, I've been there. I think staying vaccinated is critical for staying healthy.
Yeah, yeah, I had planned on getting it a long time ago, but I wasn't 50 yet and
Yep,
totally forgot all about it because dealing with COVID, long
yep.
haul. So then someone told me something the other day and that reminded me, it's like, oh shit, I better get
Yep.
my shingles vaccine. And I did some Googling and apparently you're more susceptible to shingles with COVID. So
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, lucky I didn't get it. And now I have at least the first dose to protect me, and I got to wait 2 months for the second dose.
Yep. Yeah, it's not pleasant at all. The advertisements that show people like in serious pain, that's very accurate. Luckily, the case I had was a very local, but some of
Hmm.
these older folks get it across their whole back, and man, it is bad.
Now,
So good for you.
yeah, it really, like I said, it really hit me hard. I mean, I couldn't believe how badly I felt. Wednesday, no, Thursday,
Yep,
and I got like, the feverishness, the headaches, and the rise in temperature.
yep,
That was like almost a lot worse than what my COVID symptoms were. My
yep.
COVID symptoms were, at least the first one, was mostly just really hard coughing and very mild fever. So, yeah, I'm wondering if that would help any getting my body temperature up to flush out any COVID,
Mm,
virus that's lingering in my
mm.
system.
Interesting, interesting point.
So,
I the other thing that I did recently, I think it was earlier today, I listened to the salon that we all had, and I went first, and one of the things about me being on a podcast is it's always a little bit hard for me to focus because I have a lot of anxiety, right? It's a little stage fright,
yeah,
and so even though I was listening to everybody, maybe I didn't absorb it. So listening to it a second time, I was quite startled at how concerned, angry, upset you sounded. I mean, I did not expect you to start talking about Civil War, for example, which is, I don't know if you know this, but that's very much on my mind. So, yeah, no, you went quite a ways away from, art as a means of keeping yourself engaged in life, to a lot of the other implications that we got to think about.
yeah. And I was doing some other Googling today because my little quote I've been doing, the art has the power to change the world. Well, if you Google it, there's a lot of other people saying the same, and I kind of see it going back like to 2016 but I don't see that little quote going farther back than 2016. I'll have to do some more Googling.
Oh, I
But
see.
it's mentioned by a lot of people, a lot of artists, like the World Economic Forum is one of them, and then there's these other groups that mention it also for other reasons. But yeah, I've been trying to get that little quote to kind of go viral. And I was like, I'm gonna trademark it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I put it on my website, trademark, kind of for shits and giggles, just because, it's kind of a common saying. I'm not sure anyone's going to really trademark it, but I was like, might as well, you know.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, why
So,
not?
yeah, but some of the sources that I found were from actually Googling that, quote phrase. So, yeah, I found quite a few sources, and there were a few sources that I was like, I know I referenced this, but it may be in the rewrite, I might have forgotten to write the source of, where I referenced it from. I don't know. I
Sure.
think I was putting sources, but I don't know, made me kind of double think, did I really put the correct source? So, but yeah, on the rewrite on my second version, I've got a few more things I want to throw in there.
Well,
Definitely.
that was another thing that you talked about that I was curious. What are sort of things are on your mind in the rewrite?
Uh, One, as far as creativity, I wanted to add more like live competitions similar to like Dancing with the Stars and America's Got Talent, something like to that effect.
Sure.
Uh, but more with the visual arts, like, America's Got Artists, whatever, and they're doing live painting, on the spot. There are other
Cool.
programs I've seen like that. Like there's one that I've seen where they make knives and
Yes, I've
then
seen that.
something along that route, but with
Sure.
live painting or any sort of other, visual art, live spray painting, and seeing them do it, live and then having a competition, So that was an idea that I was thinking about that I just didn't have time to kind of throw in the first
Sure.
version. And another one was the teaching. That was one that I completely just blanked out on. But that was a thought of putting that in the first one. So there's a few that just kind of got slipped past me just because I was kind of having trouble, organizing my thoughts. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, that's what the second version will be for, is to
Good.
add in a few more of those. And I'm hoping also someone gives me some ideas that, oh, that idea sucks. Well, okay, well, how do I make it better? You know, throw me a bone, if you think it's so bad.
Hey, Alan.
Can't hear you. Oh, stuck on mute.
He may be just still trying to get on.
So I'm making a list on my second version. So
I'm going to write a completely different chapter this time. Alan, you're still muted if you're trying to talk. You're knowing Alan, he's trying to get a little bit something more to drink and something to snack on. He's back there in the kitchen listening to us. I do this sometimes. I log into a meeting muted and I go take care of a few things before the meeting
oh,
actually starts. So
another idea that I had. Well, artists need models and muses to paint.
true.
So if you think you're not an artist, well, you could pose for an artist. You
That's
know,
true. That's true.
so
Well,
that's
and
another
with all the
side of it.
yeah, yeah, all the influencers on TikTok, you know that there's a lot of people who just think that they ought to be on. Hey, Alan, you're still on mute, dude.
Yes,
Hi,
I am.
how
All
you doing,
right.
Alan?
I'm doing well. Went to a crawfish boil tonight, so just
That
got
sounds
back.
good.
It
All
was
right.
delish.
I bet. Okay.
Just the
This may
three
be
of
a,
us and the autopilots, huh?
yeah, it may be a light crew. Like I said, Alora's not going to show up. She's got something else to do. David, oh boy, David, there are too many Davids. Who's the new David that just joined the group?
Was it
Oh,
David Shapiro?
no, no, it's
Patterson?
say it again.
David Patterson?
Yes, David
Okay.
Patterson
Okay.
also had something else to do. He'll be probably joining us um, on next week. He said he'll leave Saturday evenings alone so that he can join us. He's looking forward to this. On the topic of memberships, Alan, I'm waiting for emails for your mics so that I can invite
Oh,
them. Okay.
Roger
And
that.
so the way it's gone so far is Shapiro said no. No response yet from Amanda. Uh, David, man, so it's old man brain. Say his name again, Art
Patterson?
Patterson. Boy, I'm going to work on that. David Patterson is a yes. Was one more. Can't remember. Anyway, there I know that there's a few more that we're going to invite. Oh, I know who it was. It was Logan Thrasher Collins. No
Yes.
response yet. So all three of the four have been invited. No response from Amanda. No response from Logan, and I'm waiting for Mike. I think it's a Seve
Achera, Mike Achera.
Achera. Okay, I need his email. And then there were people talking about perhaps another 4 or 5 people that they would like to invite. So we'll get these. My goal is to get these done before we start up the April reading critique sessions, so that if these new members want to become, thank you for that. Um, um, it would hold on a second. Let me make sure that I get it now. If I don't
Sure,
copy
sure.
this right now, I'll forget all about it. Copy text. Hold on just a second, guys. While I try to text this to myself, email this to myself. And since that's not in his email, it's ACEVE, correct?
No, it is. Have to look.
So
It's
there's two.
It's ACERRA.
Hold on. Let me read it back to you. ACERRA.
Yes.
Okay. There was another Mike. You're going to give me his email some other time, I guess.
Well, oh, there he is. Mike, he's under Michael. Michael and well, yeah, I'll get that for you right now. I just got to
Yeah. Yeah.
look
Let's
it
get
up.
this out of the way. Sure.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that much material today. So it'll be a short meeting. I think what I'm expecting is a fairly short meeting. I'll just see what happens.
Oh, wow. All right, let's see. Uh, oh, oh, Here we go. There you go. I'm out of focus. Put it in the
I'm-
chat there. Michael Lynn
Yeah.
at 3D Print Everything.
I am copying that right now. Thank you.
And what about Mike Finley? You want him too?
Yeah,
All right. So
yeah, anybody that you are recommending
see
be
if I can
good
put
to,
it.
let's do this now.
Oh, I don't have an email on Mike Finley. Why not?
Well, you can give it to me later or a separate email if you come across it or whatever, okay? Like I said, we're gonna spend, the rest of February and March inviting people, and then probably once we start up reading critique, I'll say, okay, we're gonna take a pause on adding people. Not that won't be some sort of hard rule. It's just let's keep our lives kind of simple, right? I don't want to add 24 people right now, right? Okay.
Right. Wait,
Okay. Cool.
I'm getting to his
Thank you.
I'm going to his contact page.
You can send it later, dude. You want to do it
Well,
now? You get
yeah,
distracted.
I'm doing
Yeah,
it
this is what
now.
happened. Yeah, no, this is what happens to me. If I don't do it right away, it gets lost. There's too much going on.
Huh.
Ada says she won't make it. She's got some sort of plumbing issue.
Oh man, I was wanting to show her pictures of the crawfish boil. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
It's
next week we're not having a meeting. I'll be flying to California for another business trip, and I'll be gone all week. That March 2nd meeting might be at risk too, depending how late Friday night I get in.
well, I'm gonna send you the link because this keeps telling me I don't have the right stuff, I guess, or it's error. It's saying there's an error.
Okay.
Let me find us again. Here we go. I guess I'm gonna have to get on his this is his contact page, contact Mike. Mike Finley.
Okay, that's cool.
And if you go there, that's like I say, that's just his website, basically. Um,
Don't worry, that'll be a good start.
yeah, and I'm gonna put my name in for the newsletter, and then I'll get something from. I'll have some kind of contact there.
Now, are all these mics in Texas?
No, let's see, Mike Finley, uh, Iowa, I think, and then
Oh,
Mike Lynn is in Texas, and who's the other Mike? Mike
Sarah.
Mike Achera, yeah, he is in Illinois. Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, that's right. I do recall that. I was going to look up which city in Illinois he's in.
yeah,
Um,
Galesburg. Yeah,
Galesburg. Yeah, I'm not sure where that is. Sounds like it's southern Illinois to me.
Yeah, it's not all that far southern, but it is,
Is it near Champaign?
south of Champaign, I think.
Okay.
And then, but it's not like O'Fallon. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Okay.
It's,
No.
on the western side of Illinois.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, my wife and I are going there in April, and we're going to catch the eclipse while we're there. We're there for her birthday and seeing her family, and that's right about the time of the big eclipse.
Right, right. Yeah, my buddy, and I got another buddy up there in O'Fallon, Illinois, which is basically right across the river from St. Louis.
Yep.
And just whatever it was, 7 years ago, we went up there for the last eclipse. But this one is going to fly over Dallas, basically.
Yes, it is.
So Steve's coming down for that, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. I had been expecting to go to Austin because that's where my son and granddaughter are. But this other trip to Illinois came up and superseded. So it's just the decision that we made on which place to go, because they were saying it's a very good idea to go to Texas because you're more likely to have better weather in April than in Illinois, of course.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
So
right.
you probably got
Yeah.
a better chance of seeing the eclipse than I do, but that's a once in a lifetime thing. You got to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll be twice in a lifetime for me. I saw the one, like say 7 years ago when it went over Illinois, and that was pretty spectacular.
Was that a full?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay.
I mean, they happen
Good
more
for
often than
you.
you think, but they're rarely over the continental United States. You know, they're over
Right.
the middle of the Pacific or something like that.
That's what I meant is,
Yeah.
it's something that we all could, if we wanted to. Okay, cool. Thanks for providing that.
Yeah.
Art, did you have any other members that you wanted to add?
There was Daniel Brockert. I know he joined up on the Facebook group, but I don't think he's done anything. I don't think he's made any comments or anything on there.
Okay. Well,
But
I mean,
he did ask me, about joining, because he said he had some alternate UBI ideas. So,
well, here's the difference, right? Is Facebook's public and this is private. So you have to recommend somebody that you'd like say to be an author in the group. None of the folks on Facebook are going to be invited into these sessions,
okay.
right? So that's the difference is, we're using the more public forum of the Facebook to talk about what we're doing and let people know about podcasts, about books and stuff, but we're still, I mean, the access to our group is going to be restricted. Okay. So
Okay.
Hello.
if you want somebody here in the group, you definitely gotta recommend them for membership. Okay.
Okay. There's his email address.
Cool. I'll look this one up. Oh man, I keep getting these AI assistants in the way. I'm getting close to saying they're prohibited. No bots. They keep interfering every time I try to click on something. There's one of those chatbots saying, "This is what I'm doing now. I don't care what you're doing now. Stop interrupting."
Oh yeah,
Okay.
in the chat.
Yeah, and
They
other
all
things. Okay, hold on a second. Let me write this down, or I lose track of this. Okay, so this is now what I want to do is make sure that I know that it's Art Ramon suggestion. This is good. Okay.
So Daniel, Dave, and Mike. That's kind of the names we're going for, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're very common. Very common names.
I think we need more Arts and Allens in here. We really.
I'm almost done with this. Okay, there we go. And oh, I got a note here. So there's 4 new names that I'm going to send out invites for. 3 Mikes and a Dan. All right. Damn. Hold on. Most.
Also known as
Yeah.
3 Dan Mikes. Oh,
And this Brockert, do you happen to know where he's located physically? Where he lives?
He should still be here in Tucson.
Oh, okay. All right.
so not Portland, Michigan.
No, he was in California for a while, trying an acting career, but I don't think it worked out too well for him. So he came back to Tucson.
All right. So that's great. We got through the membership. Art, why don't you give us what's the story, the status on our books?
I bet you mean Alan.
Oh, what did I say? I'm sorry.
Art.
Oh boy. See, I told you I'm an old man thing going on right now, kind of like brain farts.
Oh yeah,
Thank you, Alan.
yeah. Sorry. Um, no worries, no worries. Let's see. Here I am, and I've got to look. I've got this thing bookmarked now, so I can go to it. I haven't looked today, so royalty estimator. We must have sold a book because it's up to $40.56.
Okay. All right.
And wait,
Good.
is that just for February? That's just this month. See what the last 90 days looks like. $52.16.
Okay. All right. Good. That is progress over the last time we talked. One of the reasons why I was curious about this is, have any of you watched David Wood in his latest podcast?
No.
Art, what did you say?
Not yet. I usually watch podcasts during work days.
Okay. Yeah, so he was on with Tim Ventura, and I listed in Discord tonight the number of views that each of our podcasts has gotten. So David Wood and Tim Ventura has already had 620 views, and it just went in this morning. Okay,
Wow.
so yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see, because you, Alan, have said previously that podcasts seem to be correlated with book sales.
So I was gonna. So there was one today. You're saying because we had three sales today. So I didn't know if that was.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that. So that's
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was a very good interview. David Wood did a very good job. Now, in the listing to access the book, it only shows the UK Amazon. So unfortunately, he did not provide them the
The US
universal
link.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because he's broadcasting in Europe. Let's say
Sure.
you wish he'd used the the universal book link that William came up with. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, so it's 620 views versus the Salon has 177 views. Dr. Sharif's had 31 views. So it'll be interesting to see if we
Wow.
have a good tailwind off of the Tim Ventura. Just see.
Yeah, because let's see, on the 28th, we had 9 sales, and that's when we had the first podcast. And then it was on the 1st, which I guess really is the next day. Is that right? Or no, it wasn't the next day because we had the 29th in there.
Yep.
And then February 1st was 10 sales. So that's and then it dropped down to and then we had 7 sales on the 3rd. On the wait, is that the 1st? No, that's the 3rd. So that was right after the Sharif podcast. And then something went right in February, and that was February 6th. There was 3 sales, The 7th, there was 3 sales. The 8th, there was 3 sales. And then the 9th, there was 6 sales.
Well, I do remember that David Wood, I think, had posted in LinkedIn about the book. So there may be other things besides podcasts that are spurring people to take a look at it. So we'll see. Is there a way to download the data that you're looking at into, say, an Excel spreadsheet? Because each time we come together, you talk about different numbers of book sales on different days.
I could probably be easier to give you guys the link.
I'd love to have the link, and then I could
try
stop
this.
asking you.
Well, no, it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun to report it, when it's.
Yeah, no, this is very topical, because
This is
if we're going to
the,
do one every year, it might be good this time for us to all learn, okay, what does cause people to go buy a book, right?
Right. And I mean, well, podcasts are kind of the only way we're really getting the word out, I think. So,
I think so too.
but I
Well,
mean, so it's not surprising that's working for us.
well, Alan, before you got on, I was saying to Art how much I really loved his. Have you seen any of his like Instagram videos where all the authors are shown individually with a quote?
No,
Oh
no.
my God. See, and you're not on Discord either. So,
Instagram.
you need very special handling, Alan. We gotta spoon feed you through, either call you on the phone or send you an email. That's how you get notified. But anyway, he put together a very cool. He shows each of the authors a photograph of the author. You're in there, okay, and a quote from your portion of the book. And he's got some great music going on. And I think it's very good. And so that's another way. Now I'm posting to Facebook. I'm not so sure that that's very effective.
Well, how do I, hey, Art, how do I find you on Instagram?
Let me get my account. Let's see.
'Cause I don't know nothing about no Instagram.
You should put a link into the chat here
All
so
right,
that he can
there's
see it.
my Instagram.
All right, so I could probably go to Art Ramon Paintings. If there's some kind of a search, is there a search? Yeah, there we go. What the hell is all of this? Let's see.
Yeah, CapCut makes it easy to put little videos together. But you kind of need raw data, you need like photos and video and to kind
Hold on a second, Art. Hold
What?
on a second. Hold
Sure.
on a second. Alan, he
Yes.
put the link to his stuff. If
Yeah,
you're trying
I
to
just-
search.
Well, I'm searching on my phone, so yeah.
Well, that may be more difficult than just using his link, is all I'm trying to say.
Oh no, it's easy. I'm there. I see.
Oh,
I
okay.
see a bunch of stuff. See a bunch of stuff. It starts with OmniFuturist. But okay, Art Ramon, co-author of Future Visions.
I'm one of the co-authors of. That's my promo video.
Art has been very prolific, right? So he's got his own discussions of his chapter, but I'm talking about more like I'm going to call it a very good commercial on the book.
Yeah.
So you need to explore what he's doing, because he's doing a very good job of being like our advertising firm. Okay,
Well, I love the Princess Leia Jesus. That's awesome. That's
Yep,
good
still
stuff.
working on it. 4 years and counting.
Oh wow. Okay.
I've really watched him work on this. He has been doing it and redoing it, and
Yeah. Even your granny's transhumanist. That's hilarious. Okay, well, I'll explore this more as we move.
yeah, sure. Sure. No, and so again, kudos to Art for taking that on, because which it'll be interesting to see which you feel is most effective. I know that I've got my favorites so far, but you've done a lot of very good things. There's I'm trying to think if I've gotten mixed up. There was a very good sequence of videos that you put together that included my black swan image, with very dramatic music. It's got a couple really cool. You know what? You know what we need to do? Have you tried this with Alora yet? Have her load all of your videos into our YouTube channel, Art.
Uh, I think she might need the raw files in order to upload them to the channel.
Well, let's do this in a couple weeks when we get back together. Let's at least have a conversation, because this is what I want to do is we've got different types of videos on the YouTube channel. Some of them are long discussions of like bioshelter. Some of them are just our weekly meetings. But then there's another collection that you are making, Art, of a series of really cool videos, some of which are like ads, some of which are your own discussions. I've done some where I'm trying to describe the book. So I would like to capture this before, let's say, we start working on next year's book. Okay,
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
cool.
I'll have to probably upload the video files to the Google Drive. So
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk to her about what's the best way to do it. Cool. I only have one last topic on my mind, and that's I'm starting to have a conversation with Kristan T. Harris. Do either of you remember Kristan?
uh, I
Name
recognize
sounds,
the space, but I don't remember from where.
Would you
So,
say, Alan?
I was gonna say, name sounds familiar, but no, I don't remember. So,
Okay, so 4 years ago, he was in the competition to become the presidential candidate of the USTP.
okay,
Kimberly Forsyth, Kristan T. Harris, Charles Holstoppel. It was half a dozen of them that were fighting. It wasn't very pleasant, kind of vicious. Yeah, no, Rachel Haywire and the
oh, I remember
cannibal.
her. The
So that
cannibal?
oh yeah, the one who actually ended up being our presidential candidate for a while, Ben Zion. He's a cannibal.
I didn't realize he was a cannibal.
What he did is he took some of his own, let's say, skin sample and
Yeah,
grew meat in the lab. So he's growing human flesh. Yes,
yeah,
in the lab
okay.
as like a demo. The idea was he didn't think it through. He was trying to say, we don't have to slaughter cows and pigs to eat. We can grow lab. So he
Right,
grows his own meat, right? His own
literally.
skin. He grew a chunk of human flesh in a dish, and he made a video of him swallowing it raw. He didn't even cook it. Okay. So there was a kind of a
Yeah, not
backlash because he didn't
not
he
a good
didn't
look.
he didn't explain what he was trying to do. It was going to be a big splash. So he hid it from everybody. Well, you can imagine Gennadi's reaction to the presidential candidate eating his own lab grown flesh. Okay, duh. You know. So anyway, that
Sort of
was
like
the
a
cannibal.
modest proposal, right? When like what's his
Oh,
name? By Swift, whatever. You know, about eating the Irish babies.
so what? Because there was this conflict going on, then this Ben Zion tried to kick out um, Gennady from the USTP. He tried a coup, and that's what got him actually banished from the party completely. So that's when Charlie Cam took over. So anyway, long story. Anyway,
Oh, how funny.
Kristan T. Harris is in he lives in the state of Wisconsin. he has a radio show called The Rundown Live. And I'm going to say more on the libertarian side of the house.
Huh?
And he does talk about a lot of the things that, let's say, Tom Ross looks at: aliens, extraterrestrial, supernaturals. And then he was also involved with some of the, I'm trying to remember the name of the protest that was going on in Milwaukee, where,
Occupy Wall Street.
no,
The
no, it was,
truckers? Was that the truckers?
no, this is the one where there was a protest and some kid picked up a gun and shot somebody,
Oh,
and escaped back to Illinois, and there was a big trial. I'll have to
oh,
look
right,
it up.
right, right. I know. Yeah, Rittenhour.
Rittenhour, that's right. Okay,
Yeah.
so he was there live. He's a journalist. So Kristan was there live during the protest when the shooting occurred. So he
Uh-huh.
covered the trial and everything. Anyway, so he's got this podcast, Rundown Live. He is currently asking for donations. I'm going to have a call with him and I'm going to say, I'm considering donating. We have a book we would like to appear on your podcast. Maybe there's a way that we could make each other, fulfill each other's goals on this one. So anyway, the question will be, will either of you want to join me on this podcast, or am I all alone?
Oh, I'm in. Yeah. What, when and where? Or
We
yeah,
don't
really when.
know. I haven't talked to him yet. We'll remember the next couple of weeks I'm kind of out, so I'll
Yeah.
talk to him. It'll be sometime in March is what I'm thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, if the
cool.
time works for me, I'm in, so.
Yeah, exactly. Same,
This
same.
is good. This is good. Okay, because I was listening to our podcast with Gennady, with Dr. Sharif, and I think that they're going very well. My opinion. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I think we're doing all right.
I never go back and look at my work, my previous body of, performances.
But I do it for this reason. I was saying to Art, when I'm on, I never was looking forward to being on a podcast for years. Detonation and Gennady and wanted me to join up, and I kept refusing because I'm not a performer, but this is important enough that I'm forcing myself to do it. So when I'm in, let's say, the salon talking, yes, I'm listening. It's not registering. I got too much stage fright and anxiety, right? So I go back and I listen. I didn't realize that how upset Art was. He's talking about Civil War,
Oh,
about the
yeah.
implications. I mean,
Yeah, man, you were passionate. You say
he
upset, I say
was.
passionate. That was awesome. Yeah.
If I get angry, I get more alert.
Well, I mean, for instance, you're talking about Russia taking back Alaska, Civil War. I mean, there are a lot of interesting implications for what might happen, partly due to the economic singularity, partly because of just what's happening with cliodynamics, right? What the underlying economic conditions. So anyway, yeah. So that's my explanation, Alan. I'm not listening so much admiring my work. I'm trying to go, okay, how did it go as an overall podcast? Who did what? Oh, I listened to Laura. I thought she was fantastic.
Yeah, she really was. No, I would definitely, I was really kind of joking about, not going back and looking at my work, but I don't. And it's, I think that's a weakness because I'm sure there's plenty to learn from doing exactly what you say, going back and taking a look at it, as an observer, see what went right, what went wrong. And
Yeah.
because like Art was passionate and Laura was very clearly spoken. I mean, I think she had her stuff written out and rehearsed, and here's me flying off the cuff, but I'll be flying off the cuff next time. So
Sure. And that's and that, what, that is an interesting, good style, is to be able to be, just, go with the flow. Now, Laura was showing parts of her thought processes that don't normally come up.
Yeah.
She's mentioned before the Prometheism, right? I know she's mentioned that before, but she went into it quite a bit more. So I'm looking forward to reading her chapter. Now, Art was saying he's going to rewrite his chapter. Alan, what do you think you're going to do for next year's book? Do you want to write a different chapter? Do you want to just be the editor? What are you going to do?
Well, I would like to write a different, if I'm going to write a chapter at all, I want it to be a different chapter. I don't want to rewrite the one I put in there before. I mean, I might like drastically edit it perhaps, but I mean, it's really just a collection of checklists about prepping, right? But I think that's kind of, hey, what can an individual do? Get yourself ready. But I would kind of like to. I'm thinking of taking what do you call that? Sort of a dissenting opinion to this whole not to Cleodynamics, but to this idea, this premise of the overproduction of elites, because I think that there's. I thought it's interesting that if that's the problem, if that's what gets the system out of balance in a negative way, then the easy thing to do is just not send people to college. Yeah. Oh, we can just right. I mean, and yet he draws just the opposite conclusion. No, we need to send more people to college, and well, that just exacerbates, the argument that they're all dancing around a finite number of chairs. And I'm not sure that. I mean, I think the number of chairs is growing. It might not be growing as fast as the number of aspirants, right? But I think that those are dynamic systems, right? And I get it. Just to be able to talk about something, we need to simplify it to some degree. So, but yeah, I don't think he ever really did a good job. He tackled it in chapter 1 about what is an elite, and it's just like, all right. I mean, I think it's just, well, okay, it's a term that we use for the people that are making decisions that stick. And,
I really like your topic. I think this is fascinating. By the way, one of the things that he said about elite overproduction, there was one case in which it was averted. And you go back to England when the British Empire was ruling the seven seas. One of the things that they did is a lot of their elites were sent to India and Australia. And so expansion of their empire, those aspirants had some place to take it instead of trying to destroy everything. And so when Musk starts talking about colonizing Mars, maybe that's where all the aspirants go. Really, send them to Mars, dude.
I think there's something to that. I'm only on like chapter 5 of the book, but I think that like another example of that is when the Spanish nobility and Christendom kicked the Muslim Arabs out of Spain, right? I mean, they essentially promised so much land to anybody that helped them kick the Muslims out of Spain that they promised more than the actual area of Spain. And so what they did was they put them on ships and sent them to the New World, right? I mean, so they had a vehicle to let that steam off, right? And like I was talking about this with Michael Sines the other day, and he would say, well, all those in this, if over, the elite are the people that are sitting in the chairs. The other people are the contenders that didn't make it into elite status, right?
Right. So, that's right.
And so it's not that I mean, just sort of by definition, they're not elites. They're not extra elites. They're not overproduced elites. They're folks that didn't make it to elite status. But
they're wannabes.
They're wannabe elites, right? Yeah. And I think that is one of those things where, I mean, and I think it just comes down. I mean, some of that's semantics, and some of that's like, but what do you call those folks? I mean, we just call them ordinary people, in some regards, right?
Here, real quick, one of the examples that came out of Hillbilly Elegy that I thought was very good, J.D. Vance's book, is he was trying to decide which law school to go to, and he was going to go to a local state college for his law degree. And he was talking to somebody else, and they were saying this particular person had graduated from Yale, and he said, "Oh yeah, I saw this other person who I went to college with. We both got law degrees at Yale, and she's waiting on tables." And so, and it was a wake up call to JD Vance that, you know, it makes a big difference where you go to get your college degree. So let's say you go to a state college, you get your law degree, you're thinking you've got this great career ahead of you,
Yeah, you
and
got
then
a
there's
ticket.
no place
Yeah.
for you to go. There's no place for you to go. What do? You manage a McDonald's. You know, this is what I mean about, you know, the folks who have this aspiration that it cannot fulfill it. And I think this is what they're pulling at. So, by the way,
Yeah, I agree. And I agree. I think that's kind of but are those people elites? Well, no, they're waiting tables at whatever.
that's right. By the way, when I listened again to our podcast, Michael Sines was very good, and I'll tell you why. He started out with his very first premise was, look, the premise of the Future Visions book is incorrect. We're all assuming that there's something wrong with either the economic system or the governmental system, and that is not it. I really admire that. This is the part about,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
said in the podcast in the salon, this is the great thing about Omni. Get on all the
Yeah.
viewpoints, not just the group think. I do not want
Yes.
group think. I want to hear the opposites. I listened to Luis Arroyo talk about cyber communism. I
Mhm.
think we've got a really interesting product. So anyway,
Yeah, I
I'm looking
agree.
for
I wholeheartedly
next year's
agree on
book.
that.
Yeah, as you know, I'm going to write a different chapter. I've started on it, negative income tax, and I want to try to destroy the idea that UBI is a good solution. I think that it's I think
No,
it's
no, yeah.
they're using it as a pacifier. Anybody who's worried about the bots, oh well, and you heard Quinn say something like this. So, oh well, I'll just get a UBI and I'll stay home with dad. I'm going, this is only $12,000 a year.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
can
it's
live
nothing
on that.
much.
You know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, and I think that's a good point. Like what's the effect of talking about that? Is it just a pacifier? Because, yeah, it's sort of like yeah, I'm growing my own potatoes over here, right outside the window. And I've seen these things about, these preppers are like, oh, and one guy was really good with the math. He was like, I've investigated the squirrel population here and studied squirrel populations across the state. He's like, urban squirrels are much larger. And like people that are moving to the country to hunt squirrel, they're going to the wrong location. There's more squirrels in the urban areas and they're bigger. And he says, but he says, let's say you can get a pound of meat off a squirrel, and he goes, that's being generous, probably. He says, but
It's
but
more
it makes
stray
the
dog
math.
to the city too.
Yeah, right. It says it makes the math easier, and whatever. He does this math about hunting squirrels or whatever. There's also way more people, right, that are going to be out there hunting squirrel. And he says, you're just not going to survive hunting squirrels, even in a city where there's lots of squirrels and lots of people. But so this idea, and I've heard these other people were talking about, oh, the first people that die off will be all these urban farmers, because they're not able to produce enough. And I'm thinking, what am I going to grow out here in this little kiddie pool that I've got? 15 pounds of potatoes, maybe. That's just over a month's worth of potatoes for this household, right?
Right.
And but the thing is, that's why they call it or that's why they call it societal collapse. It's because the way we're feeding everybody is with this huge machinery, all this
Yep.
giant fields and monocropping and huge machines that can go through and do all this stuff. It's how we're able to do it. We're not doing it using these other systems. So Yeah, even if you think you're gonna go out there and till your own farm, you're probably not gonna be that successful, unless you've got all that other infrastructure, your neighbors are tilling their farms. You've got coordinated tractor assets, all, anyway, the whole network of stuff. But yeah, I just, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. other than we need a variety of perspectives.
Yeah, I think that my concern is that because that's the normal, oh, well, that's what's going to happen is we'll get a UBI, we'll tax the bots and I'll get $1,000 a month. And the concern I have is that it won't be until there's these massive tidal waves of unemployment and people start receiving their $1,000 a month and therefore they can't buy anything. They're barely surviving. Then the catastrophe is really going to hit hard as people realize, oh, UBI sounded good, but now that I'm actually living it,
Sure.
this is a disaster. This is a catastrophe, right? So I'm just going to try to get people to think of. See, the first times people started talking about UBI, it was the idea, and you heard Gennady saying some of this sometimes was, well, you'd have a normal kind of job-ish. In addition, you will receive on top of that this UBI
Right.
to supplement your income. What we're talking about now is, sorry, dudes, no one is going to hire you. Okay,
Right.
you lose your job at the warehouse. There's not going to be another spot open, right? So anyway, that's going to be my focus for my chapter is UBI is not the right solution. We're all being misled. We got to think of something better, something more realistic. Okay.
Well, yeah, the other thing is, with automation particularly, but also with, I don't know what you call that, replacement of intelligence, right? With AI, I guess. The economy doesn't really get worse, right? Like a worsening economy will drive prices down as people sort of try to undersell, right?
Right.
But we won't have that. We'll still have prices. There's no reason for prices to drop just because people are losing their jobs, right? I mean, other than you might want to sell to those people, but there will be plenty of people that are making money and will buy at current or even higher prices.
But if you don't have customers, I mean, who's going to be buying? Like, suppose like on the cars. I mean, they're saying that the car market's going to collapse.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, but if
actually,
you
for both,
own all the cars, if like Ford owns the cars, everybody that works for Ford will be fine. Whoever those few workers are.
well,
But I mean,
I
that
think
value won't be removed from the economy. There'll still be cars and transportation.
what he's trying to tell you is that if the cars are being constructed by robots, all the employees at Ford will not have enough money to buy the cars, right?
Right.
And let me just jump in and say, I've had to explain this a couple times to people. The reason we call it the economic singularity is you don't know what's going to happen. So when
Sure.
Art
Exactly.
says, if people aren't making money, how do they buy anything? And if nobody's buying anything, then what business is surviving? And this is the problem: is you look at the collapse of the Great Depression, it was a collapse in demand and in employment simultaneously. How do you survive that? That is the singularity, right? We don't know
Well,
what's going to happen. That's the problem. Go
yeah,
ahead.
but my point is when you have like the Great Depression, you have a collapse of, like you say, both demand and employment. But we won't have a collapse of demand. So there's no reason, there's no reason for prices to come down as long as people are going to be able to make a profit off what they're selling. And that's the real horror of it, right? I mean, it's not because the economy's not, well, all those things that typically you say, oh, the economy's getting worse, tend to drive prices down.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. So, like, if you can make it cheaper and you pass those savings on, getting $1,000 a month might be a great thing because it can be produced for a lot less. But that's not
Okay,
going to
so
happen, right?
Well,
The
actually,
difference is going to go into the shareholders, right? Yeah.
well, yeah, part of this too is timing because, for instance, you listen to Dave Wood and he talks about superabundance. This is what you would expect out of a fully cognitive automation, AI and robotic system
Yeah.
is the price of everything, almost everything will drop. I think that William did a very good job in saying the price of everything will not drop. This is
Yeah.
another part of the Omni where he's saying, look, land prices aren't going to collapse. You aren't going to save that much in agriculture just by automating the 2% of your labor costs. But the superabundance part, I don't think will occur prior to people losing their jobs. And so that's,
Right.
I think it's the dislocation of
Exactly.
the
That's it.
economic singularity. This is the disaster. Eventually, prices will be dropped so low that, yes, maybe 1,000 a month buys you everything you need.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, but this is the same thing that sort of gives me cause to question is it Turchin? There's a woman reading his book. I keep wanting to say her, but it's his theory. It's like it's not the overproduction of elites, let's just use that term, actually has created magnificent amounts of favorable economic change. When you look from 1984, where you have Bill Gates and Steve Jobs dropping out of college to invent, computers, and what's his name making the internet, and saying this ought to be free, creating HTML and all that. All of that, plus all the phone technology, plus all of the other stuff that but the thing is, so it's not this overproduction of elites, but I mean, in a sense it is because they've gone on to do these other things in the technological realm, and the government and the controlling and ruling systems have not caught up with that. They're actually spending, their time trying to slow it down and trying to do these other things. And so at some point, and I think that's as much a system as a cyclic system as anything else. At some point, it's like, yeah, well, that's got to change because we've just got too many new ways to do things. It's too easy to do banking with cryptocurrency. Like why, so unless you want to get on board with regulating it now, it's going to go on unregulated, and then you have this sort of, I guess you could argue that's the overproduction of elites. You have people inventing PayPal and all that kind of stuff that circumvents the regular process, but these new processes are going to come into place just because they're more effective.
I'm going to say that I agree completely with the GDP of the American economy has skyrocketed. All of this tech is great. I don't think anybody's recommending slowing any of that aspect down. I think what happened though is
6-month moratorium on AI.
Well, no, let's just stay with multi-decade growth because of capitalism. Let's just stay there.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
a good
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Okay, now the problem is that as opposed to the 50s and 60s, where the lower class and the middle class shared in that abundance and that growth, that has been cut off. They have not been able to stay in parallel. And one of these times I'll show you the really cool chart of salaries by quintile in America at around 1978. Yeah, the lowest quintile just goes completely flat, and they share none of the abundance that, if you look at GDP growth, you go, the American economy has been skyrocketing. This is what Zach Richardson's always talking about, right?
Well, right, but yeah, the other has been flat. Exactly.
That's right.
Wage growth has been nominal, say the
so
least,
as you go
minimal,
with as you finish up with Turchin, you're going to hear him talk a lot about the wealth pump. So the economy and the factory.
Yeah. I'm still looking for a definition of the wealth pump, but anyway.
Well, no, okay, we're almost there. Is that the economy has gone upwards and increased in size. We're much higher revenue. The wealth pump is that because the working class, the population isn't sharing in that where is that money going?
Yeah,
to the wealthy.
the rich, yes, going to the wealthy,
Well,
right.
the pump is that you've cut off the shared benefits with the rest of the country, and it's all going to the top 1/10 of 1%. That's the wealth pump. And he's
So
saying
he's
this
really
is
just
what,
talking about the way the wealth is flowing.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. That
But I mean,
and
that
that
could be,
is,
yeah. That could be changed with the stroke of a pen. We could
sure,
tax the
but
rich, whatever,
and redistribute it. Now you sound like Luis.
Well, I mean, we have a progressive tax system already, just make it slightly more progressive.
Yeah, no, it'll be useful
out the
too to talk
loopholes.
about what the tax rates were in
Oh, like
previous years.
90%. Yeah, they were 90% at one point. So
You're right, on individuals, and then the other one is the corporate rate. The corporate rate hit I think top rate corporate rate was around 50% in 1968. Okay, so the corporations and the CEOs have convinced Congress, because it's a plutocracy, they've convinced them to keep taxes low on the trillionaires and billionaires and on the corporations.
yeah,
And who has not been able to share in that? The working poor.
everybody else. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So okay. So I love the idea you're going to talk about clear dynamics and what you think of it. I hope the two of you will think about joining in the predictions in the clear dynamics channel. Right now we only got 4 questions. We only got 4 questions, so go in there and do your predictions. I did one update to my prediction about Trump becoming a convict before the election. So I increased the percentage slightly.
Well, what do you mean by a convict?
Yeah, so Jason and I have been discussing that. We actually mean him in prison jumpsuit, okay?
Oh, okay,
Not
gotcha.
the fraud conviction and the $500 million he's going to have to spend. We're not counting that as him being a convict, not yet. Okay, so
Not just convicted of a crime, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of other cases that may end up escorting him to prison, at which point then he will be a convict. And the other one is Joe Biden going to be alive by the election? And I say no. Boy, that made Jason mad. Okay. So
Well,
yeah,
did you see the this week tonight or whatever it is,
Jon Stewart.
yeah, Jon Stewart's first night back on that?
Yeah,
That
he's
was
fabulous.
hilarious. I think you have 2 old candidates, One
Yep.
is for giving Russia a free hand at attacking our allies, and the other one is one. I mean, it's just like there's some important differences, and yeah,
Alan, I think back to the 80s and 90s, Newt Gingrich, Bush, any of these neoliberals. You think back to any of those people saying any evil empire. Think of evil empire with Bush.
oh yeah,
Could you imagine a Republican Party where you've got a presidential candidate who's popular, who says, I'm going to let Russia attack the European countries and encourage them? I think we've gone into the nutso league. I can't believe
yeah.
what's happening and what people are talking about now. It's insane. I can't believe this. It bears no resemblance to any Republican Party I've ever seen. It's a nutso party. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to let go. I don't have anything more.
Hey, I want to bounce something off you guys real quick while I got you on the line. So I want you to, understand that this is Chat GTP's swag at a Delphi method questionnaire, round 1, to gather expert opinions on the future of urban transportation over the next 20 years. but I want you to just kind of look at the structure of it. And see if it is something. And I don't know a better way to share it. Well, let me share my screen.
Putting it
How
in
about-
chat? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can do that too, but let's see. I was just thinking that's not, yeah, message is way too long. Um, Please try sending in multiple shorter chunks. Okay, yeah, let me share my screen if I may.
What you could do is
Oh.
email it to us after the meeting or something.
Well, yeah, but I'd like to,
Well, I gotta
Oh,
make you
yeah,
the
for-
host.
yeah.
Hold on
yeah.
a second. Yeah, hold
Yeah,
on.
just-
No, as soon as you said, oh, yeah, I thought, oh, yeah, I need to help him make a host.
Or shared moderator
There
or
you
whatever
go.
that.
Well, I
is.
can't.
No, I think you did.
Alora's, yeah, I made you host, but I mean,
Okay. Oh,
I can't share
share.
that. Yeah, no, Alora keeps telling me I can. There's no button that allows me to do it.
So here, this is for, like I said, transportation, urban transportation over the next 20 years. And then, instructions, please answer the following questions about urban transportation. Remember, there's no right or wrong. We are interested in your expert opinion. But then, here's kind of these categories, I think, like trends in development. Please. So it's not only what do you believe that the top three, emerging trends are, but give a brief explanation of why you think that of each trend, right? And then same thing, what are the technological innovations, over the next 20 years, kind of, and why, sustainability, and, so do you think that these major headings like trends, technology, innovations, sustainability, impact, policy and regulation, challenges and barriers. I mean, are these, you think, pretty good general frames to ask people about so that we're like, if everybody answered the same 7 questions in their own way about artificial intelligence or about singularity or how do we prepare, we want to be we want to be the proverbial bullfrog sitting on a hollow log and having so many options they don't know which way to jump, right? That's kind of the singularity. Like, what should we do now to figure out which way we want to jump when the time comes? Anyway,
this is fascinating. Back up for me because you jumped right into the details here. Where did you get this? What is this for? And are you suggesting this is like a template for us to use for economic singularity? Tell me the backstory on this.
So this is the Delphi method, which is to do a questionnaire for round 1. The first step is to select the experts.
Yep.
I'm changing screens on you guys. So typical, select the experts, and then you do round 1, which is an initial questionnaire. And then somebody, they call it feedback and anonymity. Somebody gathers up all that information, strips the names off it, but because you're asking the same, people the same question, we're going to get 10, 12, 15, 20 different answers. Maybe we get all our Mikes and Dans and Daves in there. And let me know when we're going to start recruiting Steves. I've got a couple in mind. But we get all that, and then somebody goes through and strips out the names, summarizes the 10 different views, right? And then summarizes the reasoning behind each view, and then it goes back out, right? And then says, "Hey, read this and tell me what you think. How do you like it now?" And then that's your subsequent rounds, right? In which you do that. And so eventually, you're going to get a convergence and a consensus. And then the idea is, again, each time, you're some schmuck, one of us is going to have to go through and probably me is going to have to go through and do all strip out all the names, put them all in there, send it back out. Although, some of us will be pretty, I think Luis and Richard will be or Zach Richardson. Well, they'll be pretty easy to figure out who's who. But
Well, okay, wait.
but you can,
So
yeah, but
can,
but the idea is
yeah,
like,
okay, so wait a second, back up one more time.
sure.
Because I've been talking about Delphi method for like a couple years, and
Oh,
you're
since last
suggesting,
weekend you did. Yeah.
yeah, but here, this is what I'm trying to get at is you're proposing that we actually start applying Delphi method in our group for our problem, right?
Yes. Well,
This is great.
yeah. I thought you did that last
Great.
week, so I was kind of following up with, hey, if we're going
Wow.
to do it, let's start sooner rather than later. But
Okay. All right. No,
but so
I
that's so yeah. I think we've already
good.
selected our experts, right? Or we're kind of in the middle of that now, right? Maybe we're going to get 3 or 4 new ones. We're going to see how many people drop out each year and get that many new ones, but 20 is probably big enough crowd, right? Um,
Mhm.
Plus you got your alumni out there, and ever growing thing. But yeah, so that questionnaire would just be round
Yeah.
round 2. And so round 1 questionnaire. It's kind of the second step is to do the questionnaire. And that's why I switched. That's where I started with you guys. So I
Okay.
didn't want to send out, like you said, I didn't want to send out one that was like, here's a suggestion about doing this, and
Yeah.
use urban transportation, right? I would go ahead and do some more tailoring, but while I've got a small audience or feedback, I could tailor this. I mean, this is a simple questionnaire, but tailor it more to our question before I kind of send it out.
Yes.
And
Okay. So my understanding of the Delphi method, this is perfect. What you're doing is you put out the questionnaire, you gather the data together. Then, as I understood it, typically the group is brought together to review all the comments
well,
so
not
that,
necessarily even brought together. They just get the correlated comments,
well,
anonymous correlated
well,
comments.
okay. And that's the interesting thing about how you run a Delphi, because part of what I think I understood on the Delphi method that one of the benefits is that you would have a discussion between the 10 different opinions, reviewing the results. And what I understand happens is some of the people at the extreme edges start seeing some of the points made by other opinions, and that's how you get towards a consensus. Now, if you want to do it multiple rounds anonymously first, that's perfect. Okay,
Well,
I'm not
yeah,
suggesting which way to do it. Perhaps it's a round 1 initial questionnaire round, then you send out the results and you ask for an updated set of answers from the experts. Do you ever expect to have a group discussion?
I mean, we could have a group discussion every week if we want, but that's not the method. The method is to maintain the anonymity. Um,
Okay.
because like
Okay.
I don't know, like you and I like to talk. Art has
Yeah.
been with us this whole time and not said anything, which means he's probably thinking more than either one of us, right? But
Right.
that,
Right.
but
Right.
that might not be influential to the group just because he's really thinking through it, right? They're like, well, I listen to Alan and Mike,
I see. Good.
and
I
so
like
there's
what you're
that kind
saying.
of yeah. So that whereas like say he's being quiet, he might actually be giving it more thought, probably is, and so that's kind of the idea behind
Yeah.
take your
I
time,
like it.
think about it, write it down so you're
Yeah.
not getting interrupted with, what do you mean the working class? What is the
Yeah.
working, like, yeah, who are the elites? Write it, people get to write it down so they can get their thoughts out without being interrupted. And oh yeah, here it is. Importantly, the Delphi method maintains the anonymity of the individual response to prevent any singular opinion from dominating due to the
Got it.
responders' authority or
Got it.
personality. Yeah.
This is great. I'm
So
so
yeah.
excited that you've decided to start implementing this. This is good. I'm all set.
So
It's
I think
great.
6 or 7 questions, is probably more homework than I want anyway, right? But again, I think it'll be a little bit of cut and paste and summarizing, maybe,
Yeah,
and,
no,
and we are asking for a thorough opinion, but not a full-blown book, right, on what do you see as the,
Right.
The top 3 trends or whatever. Describe 3 technological innovations, or, the role, how do you see the role of sustainability when it comes to economic
Now,
singularity?
by the way, the total group right now is about 20 people, and we're inviting another 4 to 8. So if you want to start now, that's fine. With the 20 that we've got already committed, that's great. But I hope we get more than 6 or 7 responses. This could be quite interesting if you got
Right.
15
right.
responses. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking I would start with, maybe the 10 people that contributed last time, just to hone the questions.
Okay. The
See what I'm
authors.
getting at? Yeah. Yeah.
You're
just
talking about the authors. Because the
Yeah, I would like
OmniFuturists, for instance, you would be saying you're not going to give a copy to Ada because she didn't write a chapter.
Well, maybe I would to Ada, but yeah, I mean,
Aha.
I'm just
See?
thinking,
Yeah.
I guess I'm
What about
thinking the
Quinn?
regular participants on a usual Saturday night, right?
Okay.
So,
cool.
I mean, Alora didn't write a chapter either, but
let me
she wrote
just
poetry.
let me just suggest that there should be 3 people that don't normally show up that you want to include: David Wood, Colin Smith, and Dr. Sharif. And that's mostly a time zone problem
Right.
more than
right.
anything else. Cool. This is great. Oh, this is
So-
exciting, Alan. Thank you.
Yeah, but the first question is like, so that's kind of what I'm getting at you guys. Do you think these are the kind of the right,
Yes.
social and economic implications? What do you think are the
Yes.
top 3? Or
Yeah. No, this is right. And you're gonna, yeah, I liked those. I'm gonna let Art get a word in edgewise in a second. I think the topics are great if you tailor these questions to be towards the economic singularity. I think it's a winner. I think it's a total winner. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is that an example of the Delphi method having those categories?
according to ChatGTP, yes.
Okay.
Oh, well, no, those are examples of the ideas you want the experts to determine the questions.
But those categories, those different, the 1 through 7.
No,
those
no, it could be, I mean, if it was what's the best way to run a railroad, you might have a different set of questions.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I think those are pretty good questions. I mean, that's what I want to get at. That's why I want to ask people that have actually written about it or thought about it. I mean, even if
But
they
it's
didn't
also,
write
it's
it.
good to have questions that slightly overlap, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
I know
that's a
that's
good
how they
point.
do certain questionnaires where they're trying to get your true idea and they don't want you to kind of subvert it. So they ask multiple questions that are very similar and they kind of overlap. And then they get your true idea or your true response.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I guess I've got this set up for a screenplay. That's why I'm getting these crazy. I don't want a screenplay. Okay. I was wondering why it was giving it to me in all caps or whatever. Okay. No, that's not- yeah, I'm trying to make notes, but yeah, I think some overlap. I mean, it's okay with me if they say, yes, I want a space station, and yes, I want lower taxes. I mean, okay, great. At some point, you got to figure out what are you going to give up, to get both increased spending on a space station and lower taxes. But yeah, we could. Yeah, I will look into that. I will also try to, because it says to make each question kind of to have open-ended questions. So yeah, I mean, these are not yes, no's, right? It's not a vote question. It's a long form.
And your plan was to make this all about the economic singularity, correct? I mean, that's the focus of the Delphi method you're doing, the whole issue of not one
I mean,
portion of the economic singularity, the entire issue, correct?
yeah, well, and that was something I kind of like to say, I kind of wanted to work out with the other folks. You know, is that what we want to do? Do we want to make it over about the broad issue? Do we want to have everybody knuckle down into one area like food
I think you,
distribution or, you know, whatever?
I think that you should start with the entire topic. I think that we can have multiple Delphi methods.
Sure, sure.
After you do the overarching one, okay, it may be useful to pick off, let's say, one particular area that's of contention. Let's say, do we need to own uh, production so that we can control distribution? You know, or do we want to, you see what I'm saying is,
Right.
you know, you
Right.
could pick one aspect of the entire problem off and say, we'll have a separate Delphi on just that aspect later.
Oh, yeah, right, right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
This
we
is
could do that.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
It could be a series. It could be a little series of Delphi methods to try to get a consensus. It'll be very interesting with this crew if we could ever get a consensus.
Yeah,
Since
I mean, if
the
we can get, well, and I think some
Right.
of it might, like just using Zach and Louise as the kind of, I mean, they are
Right.
very politically different. I mean, but there's probably some things they both agree on, like
Yes.
some level of taxation. Zach is probably okay with, right? Not just unbridled,
Right.
you know, anarchy or whatever, right? So some level of taxation, right? Whether that's 90%, like Louise would indicate, you know, everybody that owns a share in the US would be a, you know, I don't know. I've heard of that system too. Like you carve it up like it's a huge corporation and a birth
Yep.
certificate is like a set of shares, you know, or naturalization is like a set of shares. Yeah. Who knows? Which then
When
what
do
do you
you
do with it?
think, when do you think you're going to send this out?
Well, sooner is probably better than later, but I'll probably have everybody look at it next week or have everybody,
Yeah.
well, let's see. Next week you won't be here? Or is that the weekend you won't
Yeah.
be
No,
here?
that's right. No meeting next week, and
All right.
possibly the week afterwards. Because the way it is I'm flying out next Saturday. I come back the following Friday night late. So then the question is, okay, that's Saturday. Am I completely dead? Probably. We'll just
Yeah,
see.
right. I
Anyway,
get you.
yeah, no
So,
meeting next Saturday at all.
all right, I'm just double checking. I'm following Art on Instagram. I'm going to close that now. Captain Cut, I'm going to look at later. Royalties estimator, I shared that link. I'm closing that down. I don't know what happened to my calendar. All right, um, so in spite of the organizer of the biohacking expo not being able to come up with a definitive answer for what does biohacking mean, other than things people do to, you know, get healthier or I don't know. Well, okay, that's everything. Um, I signed up for the $75 ticket, and so that's next weekend.
Oh, okay,
Now
good.
I was planning to come to this meeting anyway, but I would probably be brain dead because it's that ticket allows you to, it's streaming every act that shows up, so to speak. Every presentation on the main stage is being streamed live. And then all of the other breakout sessions are being recorded and are available for the next 30 days. So, you know, if I really am after it, I could see more of it than I could see in person. But anyway, it ends at like 6 p.m. on Saturday, and then we'd be meeting at 7. So I'd be pretty much brain dead attending to that all day. But yeah, so anyway, there's that. And then I think Gennady will be there, so we're going to get another rerun for the USTP meeting on Sunday also. So yeah, that's a long way around for me to say, yeah, I'm okay with missing next week. Now, what
Oh,
about Yeah. What about the week after that, the 2nd of March?
Yeah, possibly. Like I said, I'm flying in the Friday, March 1st. I'm flying back in late at night on Friday night. So the next day, do I recover? I hope to have a meeting, but I'm not positive.
Okay. And the
Okay.
9th. But we're back on track by the 9th anyway, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, that would be true. I'll have to say though that probably through the summertime, the project I'm working on is going extremely well, and I can't talk about it yet, but I will at some point, and I can't wait to tell you guys all about the project I'm on.
Corporate
But
capture by Boeing of the FAA. Yeah.
My I've got a series of patents coming out, and there's extremely high interest in this. It's a portion that goes onto every aircraft. But anyway,
Oh, nice.
so yeah, and so there's a very, very high scrutiny within the Boeing Corporation of this project, and so I'm kind of busy, let's say the least. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So through the summer at least, I'm going to have these cases where I'm just like unavailable for a full week, just too much going on.
Well, that sounds like one of those things. We got a patent on it. We're the only ones that can make it, and
Yep.
it's required by law. So anybody that wants
Yeah.
to fly has got to buy our product.
Yeah, no, this is a very cool thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's today. Today was the crawfish boil. Yes, that was top notch, by the way. Okay. Well, what I'll probably do is a round of just email for
Yeah.
comments on the questions,
Yeah.
and then maybe on the 9th of March.
Yes.
Send out the
Yeah.
questions. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen on the
No,
9th of
no,
March.
no,
Maybe that's
yeah,
what we
no.
do. Send out the questions.
No, yeah. Oh, okay, right. So you're, since we're not getting together to discuss our answers, you won't be having a meeting until you've compiled them. What are you thinking? At least 2 rounds, and you're thinking forward to when do I show the results to the group, right? Is that
Well, as
why you're talking about?
soon as I get a preponderance of answers, like, I mean, depending if we send out 20 and I get back 11 or whatever, I will probably, because I don't know that every day I'll check my inbox and cut and paste
Right.
every whoever emailed that day. But at some point I'll sit down and I'll go, okay, I've gotten 10 emails out of this deal, and here 10 people have answered the questionnaire. So put together a little, probably a spreadsheet, with each question and their answer, and list it out 10 times, and then 10 answers, 10 reasons why or whatever. And there's going to be some, like, if it's what are 3 emerging or 3 expected trends or 3 expected things to happen, conditions maybe, that'll be present. It may be that we've got 60 different items, 20 people answer with 3 unique items, or it may be that there's huge overlaps, right? That out of 20 people that answer, 20 all agree on 2 of them, and then there's a variety of others. So we'll just see what it looks like. But yeah, I would like to turn them around pretty quick, like do,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, even 1 a week, I think would be pretty awesome to do, if people can write that much. Because I think what'll happen is they'll kind of look at those questions to help form their thesis that they're going to move forward with. Right?
I think
I'm just
I'm
thinking like
looking
one
at,
of those. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, real quick. I'm trying to think of a place for us to put the stuff. Are you going to be putting the data on Google Drive?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's ideal. That's probably ideal.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, with all the names stripped out. I mean, if people will
Yeah.
recognize their own, they'll recognize Zach and Luis.
Yeah,
The rest
right.
of us probably skirted under the radar or whatever, but yeah, so I think that I mean, I think some question will resonate with one person and a different question will resonate with a different person. And they might come into, well, I want to talk about the three preconditions that I think have to happen,
Oh,
you know?
oh,
Somebody
okay.
else will think, see what I'm getting at? Somebody else will think, well, I want to think
Yeah.
about the three conditions that'll be present once it happens, or you know, whatever the
Right.
questions turn out to be, right? People will
Gotcha.
have a different, and so that'll help shape their ideas about what it is they want to write.
Got it.
And yeah, I mean, it can be, like what you want to write, but not everybody does, right? I mean, and they may have an idea about what they want to write now, but have a better context to frame it in after seeing these other aspects of the discussion,
Sure.
anonymously or whatever, right? And I imagine just because right now it's kind of a small group. If all 20 people start answering, then we'll definitely be in the dark about who's who. But if it's the same people we've looked at that they're writing for the last year, right? We'll kind of, we're a small group. We'll kind of figure that out. But every time
Well,
you know,
here's the thing, Alan, is that now you're talking about discussion, and a lot of the discussions occur in Discord. So I was looking at the channels. I know you don't go in there.
Discord.
Yeah,
I do
well,
every now and then. I do every now and
yeah,
then.
but I mean, we could all be having discussions about this aspect in
Yeah.
Discord. So I'm thinking I want to add a channel. I'll probably do that. I'll add a Delphi method channel in Discord for the discussions. And this is a place where I can send out notes to remind people to respond.
Well, that would be also a good place just to hang the questionnaire, right? Because I'm thinking
Right.
about
That's right.
emailing out questionnaires and getting
Right.
back emails. Although I would
Right.
like to get back emails. It's a little easier to go. This person sent something and this person sent something in.
Yeah.
And although
I
I won't be
agree.
calling them out by name, but still, because they also,
Yeah.
you can't post anonymously on Discord.
Right. Okay. Good. Well, I can't wait to see your questionnaire, dude. This is great. Thank you for starting this, and thanks for being let's call you the moderator for Delphi.
Okay, I figured that's, that's the punishment. You come up with a good idea, by golly, you gotta do it. You gotta run it.
I think you're the right person for it. And we'll just see if you ever feel like you're overloaded, either with the book managing editor or with, say, this Delphi method, then we need to get you some help, someone who can cover for you. Maybe it's Ada, maybe it doesn't sound like it's going to be Alora. She's overloaded. We'll just have
Yeah.
to see who has time and interest. I'm trying to get Jason involved with the Clio dynamics because he's a history nut. But
Yeah.
I mean, we'll just see how things go. But
And I'm critical of the overproduction of elites, although I kind of get it and it makes sense in a certain way. But I really think that, I mean, when the author is talking about Turchin is his name, when he's talking about like, here's, like the demographics and the discrepancies in wealth and those other sort of more measurable, tangible items. I'm like, that stuff looks right on to me,
Yep.
And maybe it's just semantics or whatever you call that, but you got too many bosses and not enough Indians or whatever.
Right. And especially since these guys are going through the history of hundreds of different civilizations. You and I are talking about what we think American relationships are. I don't know anything about Chinese politics in BC 300, right?
Sure.
I mean, and so he's just seeing this pattern and set of trends that happen repeatedly with human relations. So it'll be very interesting to see if we can use super forecasting and Clio dynamics to get a better way and the Delphi method of getting a way to not only kind of see what's coming, kind of think about how to plan for what's coming, but then to evaluate it. I mean, these three legs of the stool could be really cool.
Yeah. And I think probably every group of people that hang out on a Saturday night and talk trash, right? Have some solution for the world. And I think
Right.
that what we have to offer that's different is we have a wide variety of input. And we also, I think, is what we're moving toward is having a more systematic approach to that forecasting, right? Not just,
I agree.
well, here's what I
Yes.
think it ought to be, I mean,
Uh-huh.
but to actually say, look, here's some relevant studies,
Cool.
I don't know.
All
Over to
right.
you, Art. For
Um,
he's over there doodling while we're
sounds fine. Yeah, I was just thinking about that first question. I was thinking about elimination of infrastructure for, let's say, all the lighting, the signal lighting. If you had self-driving cars and you didn't rely on stoplights, and you could eliminate all that and have it work like in India, where you have certain intersections that don't have any lights and people just drive around each other. So having
Yeah.
self-driving cars, you would have that. You wouldn't need all that infrastructure of, signal lightings and traffic control.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the kind of thing. There's some smart person that's thinking about that. That's like, why don't we do it that way? And our current people running the show are not thinking about that. They're thinking, how can I make a buck off selling traffic lights? And
Well,
so it's kind of,
I think Musk is thinking about that with his robo-taxi ideas.
sure, yeah, some
Go
people are
to
thinking,
all the cities, say, we don't need all these traffic lights. It's a waste of money. All the cars can easily navigate around each other and never hit each other, and that would save the cities a lot of money, not
Yeah.
having to maintain that infrastructure.
now put all the auto repair shops out of business, but
You know,
It's-
that's
I
going to
mean,
happen anyway. So
yeah.
it's going to be
No, I
just
think you're right.
for the oldie cars, the what do you call it? The
Legacy vehicles.
classic car repairs,
That's right.
which will be limited roads where you can drive them on.
Oh, yeah. Well, all right. I will take that on and I will revise the questionnaire and I will make a comment that I am asking for feedback on the questions. And I will hang that in. I will post my homework in Discord.
Fantastic. I'll make the channel in a minute and let everybody know that it's coming. All right.
Yeah, super.
Thanks, dude.
And,
Thanks for bringing this up. This is great.
And yeah, and as far as it being more work, I think it will streamline the work process because people will have, not that people didn't give it thought, but I think it's different to go, oh, I got to write something about this topic and just start grasping at straws, right? Which is,
Yep.
that's kind of where I started, right? When and oh yeah, we've had 2 sets of thinking about these 10 questions or 7 questions or whatever, and that's got me thinking about a lot of different things. And here's the thing I want to write about. I think it will.
Yeah,
I think it will help.
I think so too.
And
Cool.
Art, thanks for posting that. CapCut. I was going to say, have y'all seen that Chat GTP or OpenAI rather now has another AI tool, which is the video.
Yeah, I wasn't able to
Sonora.
access it. I'm not sure it's open to the public yet.
Yeah, I don't think it is because I couldn't access it the other day.
Might be beta for certain people only.
But it's coming. They're taking the trick from Microsoft. It's going to be great when it gets here. That used to be their advertising campaign. It's going to be great when it gets here. Well, we're about 98 minutes into this 60-minute discussion.
Yep. I think I'm done.
I'm hungry. So,
All right, what's on the menu, Art?
right now I have, I'm possibly gonna just get some Mexican food real quick. I'm painting right now, so I don't want to lose too much focus. So I've
Gotcha.
got another 3 hours of energy, probably.
Oh, well, yeah,
Thanks again.
get busy, man. And indeed, thanks for hanging in to the Alan and Mike
Thanks.
show. I mean, I know we talk more than we need to, but
Thanks again, fellas. I'm gonna sign off now. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right.
okay, super. All right, and I'll see you
Right.
on Discord in between. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.